And so we will, in the next legislative session, have to have a real conversation about how we finish the job here of our assault weapons ban, but we have to go much further. These journalists were killed with a shotgun.
Lives, going to school, attending a concert, going to the movies, the mall, or a religious service. We know the steps to take to reduce the prevalence of gun violence in our country. Assault weapons have no place in the hands of civilians. We must demand universal background checks for all gun sales. We must expand access to affordable mental health services and end the stigmatization of individuals with mental illness. You can respect the Second Amendment without disrespecting the lives of Americans. As governor, I pledge to stand up, speak up, and act swiftly on gun sense and gun safety. And I am the only candidate for governor with a track record to back up that commitment.
Your common sense gun reform. I have had the occasion to be sued by the NRA and the gun lobby. They had me in court for 2 years. The good news is we beat them at the circuit court, we beat them at the appellate court, and we want to see them in the Supreme Court. It's time for regular folks to get their voice again in this process. We've had a major failure by Commissioner Adam Putnam, allowing for folks to have gone unvetted through the federal system to get access to concealed weapons, putting people, everyday people, in danger. We believe that there ought to be comprehensive background checks. We believe that there ought to be sufficient waiting periods, that weapons of war should have no place on our city streets, and that domestic violence abusers should not get access to weapons to snuff out the lives of their loved ones. Those are basic, those are common, and they enjoy a lot of support. In fact, majority support by Floridians all over the country, the state.
All right, real quick. Sarge already beat me to it when it comes to Andrew Gillum in Florida, running for governor. But some people have been talking about how so many black women have been running for office, and how the topic of the NRA or guns, in particular, that issue will be a divide amongst black men and black women and aid an agenda war. But ironically, there's actual couple black males invoked in here. Now, Ben Jealous is biracial, but this article, which I got this picture from, is from Sean King, so it is what it is. But anyway, so this is the first time these Maryland, Florida, and Georgia can have either two black governors or one biracial governor, and they're all anti-gun. All three of them are anti-gun, want more restrictions and things of that nature. They all are taking and talking the Democratic Party line's talking point on gun control. Now, I have been working on a video, I do not trust black people who push gun control, and I'm going to have clips of these people and all the other black commentators who speak on behalf of black people, who get paid to speak on behalf of black people. And it's weird how there's just no nuance in the conversation. Like, where are all the blue dog Democrats? Where are all the, when a white Democrat, like a Roy Moore, who won in Alabama, and you saw how the media didn't even want to give black men who were in Alabama any credit. They were like 88%, black women at like 92%. Even Charlamagne bitch ass had to like correct or try to correct Kamala Harris and Angela Rye and all the other women who tried to make it about a black female thing. But as it shows you, black men, you gotta make a decision on how you vote. But he voted with Trump 60% of the time, right? So you're happy that he beat the alleged pedophile Roy Moore, but he won, and several other of those Democrats who won in those like tight races that beat the Trump candidate or beat whoever the Republican was, they voted 60% with Trump, 40% not. And I'm saying that's because if you're a Democrat in a red state, your politics are compromised, period. Like, you can't do what other Democrats are doing at the national level locally. Like, that's just for anybody. If you're a Republican, like Governor Chris Krispy Kreme in New Jersey, who, that's a Democratic state, but he was a governor and he was a Republican, so there's only so much he can do. And it's hard for people like him, or even Mitt Romney, who was in where was he at? Massachusetts, another blue state. There's so many deals and things you have to do and compromise to get shit done locally that you can't really win a national election or get anything because it's just too many compromises. So I'm saying this is the first time we're seeing black Democrat politicians aren't going to have to make the same sacrifices that white Democrats have to make when they're in red states. And you even saw with Ben Carson during the election. He was talking at, gun stuff, and white folks were like, well, what are you talking about? And he had to renege and change his opinion on guns. Even though in context I got what he was saying, I don't agree with it, but I got what he was saying as far as like the hood and the inner city, blah, blah, blah. But you have 3 black folks who, Florida is red, it's the South. The Ben Jealous situation, he shouldn't really be in here because Maryland is a blue state and it's Democrat across the board. But when it comes to the issue of gun control, they're split. Like there's a 49% on the question asked who would be better to deal with the situation with guns, and 39% said the Republican candidate, 40% said the Democrat. So on that particular issue, it's purple. So it all depends on, if you care about all the liberal progressive shit that Ben Jealous has been promoting. He's been a real strong advocate for gay marriage and saying how he got that done. Like that's like his talking points, and he wants to get rid of DACA. I mean, he wants to get rid of ICE, and he supported DACA and the Dreamers. Nothing to do with black Americans, but that's his platform, right? But it's just interesting to see that not so necessarily Ben Jealous, but more so Stacey Abrams and Andrew. And I already saw, I didn't watch the Advice Show's video because I already knew what was going to be said. He plays this, I'm bipartisan, I don't pick no sides, but like most black people, all you have to do is throw a monkey in a wrench, pun intended, and make it about race, and then you'll tell all the people to go support this person without even fully understanding his policies and how it may affect the black people in that state. That should be more. I can see if he was breaking down his. I didn't watch the video, so I don't know if he did this, but I can see if he was breaking down his policies and what he stood for, and saying this is the way that it can benefit black people and yada yada yada. But if we're just moving on feelings and emotions and these knee-jerk reactions because the Republican candidate used the term monkeying around and he called them articulate, which is God forbid you be white and Republican and say that about a black man, right? But it's interesting. All 3 of these black candidates all have anti-gun stances, one biracial, obviously, and 2 of them are running in red states. And I'm saying, some folks saying they can't win, whatever, but I don't know. The racial tension is high, and that will get voters to come out because that's all you gotta do. You got on CNN, some dude blamed black people on Antifa. So I'm like, these liberals go out of their way. If they don't see black people mad enough, they will keep poking and poking and poking until they find something to make black people go out there and be the face of something, this Trump's impeachment or whatever Democratic politicians getting. And it works. And to the black conservatives, because I'm in a couple black conservative groups and whatnot, and they trying to genuflect and not deal with reality, and I get people who just don't like the identity politics. They don't like the fact that the whole media is talking about this. I get that part, but at the end of the day, if you want to win elections, you know that it's hypersensitive. You know that to get black people out and vote, all you have to do is invoke race or something like that. So you're going to rally up that base. So I'm saying, as a person who, if you want to win an election, you can't co-sign that shit. He has to apologize and step back from it. And he can't. All these politicians try to beat Trump and beat Teflon and say shit and do shit and not back down, and that doesn't work for everybody. Trump can do that, but everybody else can't. And a lot of the politicians who try to do that, they lose. So based on that, I gotta let that shit go and take that L. If you want to win elections, the conversation could be about how Florida is that state that people run to when they want to keep their money, right? Like it's that state for marriage. If you want to get married, you go there because she can't take half. That's what Tiger Woods got married there. She didn't get half. She got like $100 million. Like that wasn't half of his wealth. But there's reasons why people go to Florida, and the policies that he wants to implement, that's even scary to the people who run there because they don't have an income tax, right? When LeBron left Cleveland and went to Miami, even though Cleveland would have threw more money at him, he still had to keep more of his money in Miami. Of course, he went for the rings, but I'm just saying, like, that's an example of why people go to Florida, why businessmen in New York use an address in Florida. It's just, politically, I mean, tax-wise, that's why they do it, right? So I'm saying he's trying to change that in the state. And I'm like, that's what the conversation should be about, right? If you're a conservative, you support those values and those ideas, not letting the media, not trying to defend or minimize it. And I get it. I understand, like, the statement has been used several times. If Harry Reid said that Obama was an articulate Negro, Joe Biden said some similar shit too. Bill Clinton said Obama was a guy who had been carrying out water. White Democrat men can say fuck shit like that and get away with it. Republican white men cannot. It is what it is. Perception shapes reality. So I'm saying, I see a lot of people in some of the groups I'm in wasting time trying to gymnastics on it's okay to say, or why can someone say it and someone can't. Don't matter. If you want to win the election, it is what it is. But back to the point at hand, you have 2 black governors running for governor, and red states, both of them are anti-gun. They do not have to be like most white Democrats and kind of like be a blue dog Democrat, or kind of be like, oh, I support the Second Amendment. They've both come out and said, yo, fuck them ARs. We banning that. It is what it is. And that's interesting, right? Now, hopefully they don't win for the people who live there. And I put this question in the BOGO, or I didn't put it. The question came up. I just put the comment because I just wanted to, see what was going on. But one of the instructors, who's also an administrator of that group, talked about he voted. And for whatever reason, he broke it down. Like, I'm going to probably go find it and read it real quick. But he kind of broke it down in a way where it made me feel like he voted for Andrew. And I'm thinking, like, we really fucked up if you're a black gun instructor and you acknowledge we can't be one-issue voters, but you make your bread and butter. I don't know if that's his full-time job or what, but he goes around, he travels, he teaches gun ownership, and he goes from state to state doing all that stuff. If you vote against your individual interests on that issue, I don't know what to tell black people. Like, that's how you make your money. And you see the restrictions because you can't come to New York. Trigger Fire Happy Arms, BG, what is it called? Body by O Tactical. They travel around the country teaching, gun ownership, gun classes, fitness, and all that stuff. And when it comes to New York, they can't come here. I think they can only do so much when they go to Jersey. They can't go to Pennsylvania. So that's something that directly affects your income. And I'm just like, I want that conversation to be broader. Now, more is just like on the low. We can't be one-issue voters and yada, yada, yada. But if these Negroes that I mentioned are voting for Democrats who are anti-gun in their states, and they see the problems that we have in these non-free states, which are typically, the northern states or the liberal states, that's confusing as shit, dog. But yeah, let me see if I can find what exactly he said. So this is what he actually said. I went to the vote today. And he's from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm assuming he voted for locally and for his governor. I don't know who he voted for, but he said, is it possible to find a candidate that is both pro-Second Amendment and have us in mind? Especially here in Jacksonville after Sunday's tragic event. That's referring to the white dude, the Madden shooter, call him that. I know the weapons are banned at polling places here in Florida. What about other states? Are there any that don't ban them at the polls? Now, everybody's talking about that. He's making it clear that he voted. But his statement of saying, are there any pro-candidates that think about us and have us in mind? And that's the typical point that I was trying to make, is that where are the blue dog Democrats? Where are the pro-Second Amendment black Democrats who are strong on it? And it seems like that's an issue that they don't have to be strong. They can tote party lines and keep the energy with the anti-gun nonsense that even white Democrats cannot do that. The Democrat who won in Pennsylvania had to be strong on the Second Amendment. He had to be, I'm a hunter, I'm a fisherman, and yada, yada, yada. He had to keep that energy because he would not have won in Pennsylvania without that. And it's just interesting to see that you have black candidates who don't have to do that, and they're running in a red state. And we're going to see what happens with that, if that actually hurts them or whatnot. Now, I simply stated that I'm not voting for any politician on his post that does not support the Second Amendment. Somebody else had said something. But it was mostly about the conversation. Most of the comments were about banning polling places. But me, I straight up said that like that has to be a part of your platform for me to vote for you. You can't be oblivious or vague, or you say the bullshit that they do to disarm you. I support the Second Amendment. My uncles and fathers was hunters and whatnot, but we got to ban AR-15s. Like, no, I ain't hear nothing you said in the beginning. All I heard was you need to ban assault rifles, and that was enough to me to say you're not getting my vote. That's just how I feel. But that's my video. I got more videos on the topic coming up. I'm gonna do the video. I do not trust black folks who push gun control, and pointing out how all these black pundits and politicians even, they stay on the same party lines on that topic. We have no nuance. We have no real debate or dialogue about the topic. We had Killer Mike for a moment, but he fucked up. I don't know how to say it, but he fucked up. He was on the right path, but he let the bully pulpit of black groupthink hurt him and make him, distance himself from NRA, despite the fact that he had been promoting them and pushing them for years up until this black Twitterverse came to attack him. And we killed him for it, right? And I get it, right? I understand. You got people calling you. You got everybody in the media trying to make you out to be this monster. And he caved. I don't respect that. But I still say he is one of the black voices that is a good advocate for guns. He doesn't have to associate with the NRA to still continue to speak up for black gun ownership. I just don't like the way he bitched out. But I can understand the pressure he caved to. Yeah, let's see what happens with these anti-gun black people running in red states with the good old boys, and they're voting right, and they're going to support policy, that can have it looking like New York. All my boys that we talk about guns with every day, you need to move, you need to move, you need to move. Let's see what happens when some of these laws come to the South. These dumbass restrictions like 10-round magazines, or you can't have a pistol grip without some type of wrap on, or you got to remove your muzzle brake and your flash hider, because that's so scary. Like, let's see what happens when if Andrew wins or Stacey wins, and what they do in Georgia and these really, really red states where there's certain things that you as people really to fight for. Land and guns. Taking people's land and taking their guns. People ready to fight for those things. Let's see what happens.